Okay, so I believe the slides are visible.
Yes, sir, visible your slide.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Saksham Sai Srivastava. So I'm currently a undergraduate researcher at Software Engineering Lab at IIT Kharagpur. So today I'll be talking about a software testing tool called as American Fuzzy Log. It is one of the super famous fuzzing tool which is currently used by the researchers. So some of you may not be very well familiar with what fuzzing is, so I'll cover that also. Okay. So the seminar outline goes something like this. Introduction to fuzzing. I'll give a brief introduction to what fuzzing is. Then I'll give an explanation about the AFL tool. Then I'll show you some sample runs or execution using the AFL tool. And then finally, I'll show you the demo, how to install this tool and also to execute it using different programs. Okay. So I'll begin with introduction to fuzzing. So what fuzzing is? So fuzzing is an automated software testing technique that involves providing invalid, unexpected, or random data as input to a computer program. So basically in fuzzing, we try to give invalid, random data as input. We try to give input in such a manner that the input is not totally invalid. It should be valid to a certain extent. If the program crashes entirely, means it is not able to execute only, then that test case is totally useless. So we'll not consider them in fuzzing. Okay, so we'll try to give invalid, unexpected, and random inputs. Okay, then the program is monitored for exceptions such as crashes, failing built-in code, assertions, or potential memory leak. I'll talk about crashes and assertion in the later part of the lecture. Okay, then fuzzers are used to test programs that take structured inputs. Okay, then we move on to types of fuzzers. So basically, fuzzers can be categorized in several ways. They are: a fuzzer can be a generation based or a mutation based, depending on whether the inputs are generated from scratch or by modifying existing inputs. That is also known as by mutating the inputs. Then the fuzzer can be categorized using dumb or smartness. So a fuzzer can be dumb or smart depending on whether it is aware of the input structure. Means input can be a string, it can be an integer, it can be a floating point literal. Okay, so I'll just discuss about it in the later part. Then a fuzzer can be white box, gray box, or black box depending on whether it is aware of the program structure. So program structure includes that whether the program has branches, how many if branches, how many for loops, how many while loops, and things like that. Okay. So now uh, we'll distinguish what is a mutation-based fuzzer and a generation-based fuzzer. Okay, so a mutation-based fuzzer leverages or basically comes from an existing corpus of seed inputs during fuzzing. It generates input by modifying or rather mutating the provided seeds. So the seeds are already provided to us. They are mutated in such a manner that they produce new seeds or initial input. Seeds by seed, I refer to initial input. Okay, and then a generation-based fuzzer. It generates input from the very scratch. Unlike mutation-based fuzzers, a generation-based fuzzer does not depend on existence or quality of the corpus of input seeds. So that it does not require any prior knowledge to how the seeds should be or things like that. So uh, it goes like that. Then next, uh, depending on the input structure. So in depending on the input structure, they can be categorized as smart fuzzer and dumb fuzzer. So a smart fuzzer basically leverages the input data to generate a greater proportion of valid inputs, because this happens because it is somewhat or somewhere it has a knowledge of what the input structure would look like. And a dump fuzzer does not require the input model and can thus be employed to fuzz a wide variety of programs. However, a dump fuzzer might generate a low proportion of valid inputs, and it is also expected that if it does not know how the input structure looks like, then there is a high possibility that it will create a very low proportion of valid inputs and stress the parser code rather than main components of the program. Then we move on to black box, white box, and gray box fuzzer. A black box fuzzer treats the program as a black box, or in other words, it doesn't know anything about the internal structure of the program. They can execute several hundred inputs per second and can also scale to programs of arbitrary size but can expose only shallow bugs. This happens because uh, it does not know what the internal structure of the program look like. So it exposes only shallow bugs. Shallow bugs are bugs which are not very deep, which are not very present in the deep inside the program. Okay. Then we move on to white box fuzzer. A white box fuzzer is aware of the program internal structure and leverages program analysis to systematically increase code coverage or to reach certain critical program locations to expose bugs hidden deep in the program. In other words, white box fuzzer is completely aware of the program internal structure. It knows where the branch is, where there is no branch, where there is a if branch, where there is an else branch, where there is a for loop, where it has a while loop. So it definitely will generate test cases such that they can expose the critical program locations. And a gray box fuzzer is something which leverages instrumentation rather than program analysis to glean information about the program. In other words, it finds flaws but does not understand the program structure. A gray box fuzzer, you can consider it something in between the black box fuzzer and the white box fuzzer. Okay. Then we move on to example of what fuzzing should look like when you give it as an input to a website. So let us consider this. This is a standard HTTP GET request. Okay. So if you will give this request to a website, it will not give any error. It will work perfectly fine. But if you give these anomalous requests, they will definitely give some or the other exception. So but some of these may result in something totally which is crap, which we don't require, like it will just show a blank screen with error written on it, so it will not help us in any way. But some of these anomalous requests provide may result in some anomalous behavior of the website which we are looking for, and thus this is the core idea of fuzzing. So now I'll just start with what the AFL tool is all about. So AFL is basically called as American Fuzzy Lop, and it is not loop. And it was developed by Michael Zaleski, who is a security-oriented fuzzer and currently works at Google. So AFL employs compile time instrumentation on Linux. An optional Camo mode allows black box binaries to be fuzzed. So optional Camo mode is something which you want to do it temporarily. It is a temporary virtual box on which you want to do these things. In other words, you don't install AFL completely on a system, but on Linux you can install it completely and work on it. So then AFL can grab GCC or G++ and use genetic algorithms to discover interesting test cases that trigger new internal structure states in the targeted binary. In other words, this AFL can work with GCC, or it can compile the C programs or C++ programs and many more programs. I have just given you an example. And it basically uses genetic algorithms to discover the test cases which are triggering new internal states of the binary which is generated. So the requirement for AFL is that you need to have Ubuntu or you can have Linux, but your Ubuntu 6, it should be 16 or above 16. So I am currently using 18. Okay, so now I'll move on to algorithm. I'll just tell you in brief what the algorithm is all about, but it may not be very easy to understand from these points. But when I'll show the demo, things would be clear. So the first point is it will load user supplied initial test cases into the queue. So queue is basically a folder inside the results section of the AFL. There are three folders inside the results section, that is queue, crash, and hang. Okay. Then the next step, it will take the input file from the queue. First input file which has been provided by the user. It will trim the test case to the smallest size that doesn't alter the measured behavior of the program. It will trim the test cases, like it can trim string, it may remove some characters, it may remove blank spaces. For binary numbers, it may remove some zeros or ones, but it will only remove in such a manner that the behavior of the program is not at all affected. Because if the behavior is affected, then the meaning of the test case completely changes. So AFL will not do that. Okay. Then the next point is it repeatedly mutates the file using a balanced and well-researched variety of traditional fuzzing strategies. So there are different fuzzing strategies which I'll show you on the user interface of ASL. And so mutating the file means to generate different test cases and lot many new test cases. Okay. So if any of the generated mutations result in a new state transition recorded by the instrumentation, then that output is being added as a new entry to the queue. So when we get a new test case which triggers some new location of the program or some new branch of the program, then it is considered as something uh, important or something new. Otherwise, if the same test case is triggering the same location or the same uh, branch of the program, then it will make no sense. Okay, so only unique and special what do we say, test cases are given as a new entry to the queue folder. And then this step will again, you'll go to step 2 and then take out the one seed from queue, one more seed, and then this process will go on. It will be more clear when I show you the demo. Okay, so installation would be something like this. You will open your terminal and then paste this command. Okay, so since this link has been generated from the GitHub repo, so the GitHub repo is of Google is all the time updated. So you will get the latest version of AFL. Then the next step would be you will do cd AFL. It is a Linux command. You will move inside the AFL repository and then execute this make command. This make command basically builds up all the libraries which are required for the AFL. Okay, for the installation of AFL. Then the next step is to install AFL, and you will just write sudo make install and hit enter. You will give the password and it will automatically be installed. There is nothing which it is going to ask you. Okay, then you need to update the path and set AFL path. It is some, if you have been working on Linux, you would know this, that you have to set the path to make the software work. Okay, so you will then execute this command, .bash rc file will open, and then you will paste these two commands and the path would be set. Okay. Then there are two more steps to make your AFL work. So first one is to set up the core files. Okay, so sending crash notifications to external utilities creates a significant delay between the actual crash and having this information delayed to AFL, which may misinterrupt rashes as hangs. Okay, so to prevent this delay, the three steps need to be followed. you have to paste this command sudo systemctl stop apport.service and hit enter. It will ask for a password and then you will hit enter. Then you will make the ulimit minus c as unlimited. Ulimit basically here stands for the user limit. So initially it is set as 8080, something like this, but you need to make it unlimited, okay, by executing this command on your terminal. And then you will check the contents of this basically core pattern file. Okay, so for doing this, you need to write sudo gedit and then you will paste this command and hit enter. It should write, there should be core written in that file. Okay, if there is not, if there is core not written, then you have to write it manually. Okay, then the second step is to set up the CPU frequency scaling. So apparently the scaling algorithm in the kernel is imperfect and can miss the short-lived processes called by the AFL. So in order to avoid this problem, so you are going to just do these two steps. You will just do cd and this. You will go, since this is a system file, so when you are executing this command, don't forget to write sudo. Okay, so just paste this command, hit enter, and give your password, and things would be done. It will basically prompt performance, which means that the everything is working fine. Okay, then seeding, basically what seeding here means. So we'll get a small but valid input file. Okay, that makes sense to the program. Okay, so we'll just take a very initial input, and you can give it any name like test1.txt or trial1.txt, anything inside the test case folder. Okay, and for example, if a C program has three user-defined inputs variables to select test input, so insert any three meaningful integer values per line in test1.txt file as seed. Okay, so I'll just show you in the demo. Then compiling and executing. So you can compile it using this command. Just paste this command, but here this should be this is a variable because this is a file test.instruct.c. Instead of this, you will change the file which you want to fuzz, and then you will execute this. When you are executing this, this test case folder is the one which is containing the test case which I just talked about. This results folder will be generated or by AFL, and it will contain three folders which I initially talked about, that were the queue, crashes, and hang folder. And the test.in, this is basically from this will change as per your demand. Means if you are running some other file, then this binary will change. Okay. Then we move on to outputs. So this is very important step. You need to press Ctrl C or provide timeout N to terminate the process. Otherwise, AFL will run forever. So there's no stopping criteria for AFL. Even if all the crashes are found, it will not stop. It will continue running. So you have to press Ctrl C or write timeout and then this command. Then the stopping criteria depends on user whether to terminate in sufficient time, coverage achieved, or crashes found. This is what I talked about. Then storing results. The newly discovered paths or mutated valid test cases are saved in the queue folder. Okay, so if a new path has been discovered by a valid test case, then it will be saved in the queue folder. The hang test cases are saved in the hang folder, and all the unique crash test cases, means the test cases which are leading to crash, will be saved in the crashed folder. Okay. Then I'll show you some sample runs. Okay, so basically this is a program test.instruct.c. So if you just download from AFL, this program will be already present over there. Okay, only thing that this program I have made a bit change is that I have added this assert. Okay, so what assert is? Okay, so assert is a macro or a tool that is designed to be used like a function. It checks the value of the expression that we expect to be true under normal circumstances. If assert is non-zero value, assert will return nothing. Okay, so we'll try to make the assert condition as false. Okay, so this is just a sample program. So when you execute it, so this is the AFL user interface which you will see. When you take the seed value or the initial test case as 10101, then it will give something like this. Now here you can see it is showing process timing, cycle progress, stage progress, fuzzing strategy, then map coverage, overall results, path geometry, and all the thing it is showing. Now, these were the fuzzing strategies which I just talked about in the beginning. So these are bit flips, byte flips, arithmetic, and and trim also. So bit flip is something that the fuzzer makes one as zero or zero as one, and for trimming you can say that for string it may remove space or some part of the string. It can just trim without changing the initial test case. Okay, without changing the program behavior. So the most important thing which this interface shows is the unique crashes or the crash. Okay, so you see that in 1 minute time 11,200 crashes have been found, out of which only one is unique. So it means one unique crash has been found. Okay, when I'll show you the demo, this you will see that this crash happens in a very less time of 2-3 seconds only. Okay, and this crash happens just because of this assert statement. Okay, means when this condition becomes true, it becomes assert 0, then a crash happens, and that is the one which you see. Okay, so this is more easy program. So basically, when we start, we take a variable kappa. Kappa is basically trying to determine which paths have been covered during the program execution. Okay, then you have a nested if statement, and you take input A and B. So if A is greater than 5, then you do this kappa plus plus. Okay, and when B is equal to 100, then also you do kappa plus plus. Means that if the control flow passes through this path as well as this path, then the value of kappa will be 2. So we'll move on to this. So it shows assert kappa less than 2. So it to make this condition false, kappa should be equal to 2 or greater than 2. Okay, so this is only possible. The crash will only happen when both of these paths have been covered. Okay, so this if statement has been executed, the if statement, the condition becomes true, and also the this if statement also the condition becomes true. Then only this assert will, then only the kappa value will become 2, and assert it will become assert 0, and or basically kappa less than 2, kappa equals to 2 means it is a false condition. So false means 0, and true means anything except 0. Okay, so it will become assert 0 if it is false. So it means a crash will occur. Okay, so now yes, now we take initial seeds as initial values as a equal to 2 and b equal to 95. Okay, so you see that this has been executed for 5 minutes, but no crash has been reported. Okay, so it means that instead of doing all these fuzzing strategies, still it has not been able to report any crash, which means when a equals to 2, this becomes false. So it will directly go to this. So means on mutating 2, like it can mutate 2 to, it can go to 3 or 4, but it hasn't been able to cross a equals to 5. Means it has not become a value greater than 5 till that 5-minute time. Okay, so that is why there has no crash been reported. But if you take a equals to 6 and b equals to 100, then you see a crash has been reported within 9 seconds. You can see. Okay, so this means now A equal to 6 and B equals to 102. Now you see A equals to 6 means this condition becomes true. Still, you need this condition also to become true in order to get a crash. So you can see for 102 to become 100, it does not take much time. It takes only 2 to 3 seconds. But for 95 to become 100, it was not able to do it even in 5 minutes. So that is the reason why we need to have a and good initial guess values so as to get our task done. So now we'll move on to what a good seed is all about. The random values provided as seed test case into AFL, which easily find bugs or generate new test cases or achieves maximum code coverage faster, is called a good seed. For example, in trial 1.c, seed value A equal to 6 and B equal to 102 is a good seed. Okay, while A equal to 2 and B equal to 95, this one is not a good seed because even after waiting for 5 minutes, it hasn't reported any crash. Okay, so it requires a good understanding of the program structure, and sometimes practically it becomes very difficult to guess a good seed for a very big and complex code because let us say that you have instead of 2 variables you have 6 variables A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So for all these values you need to make a good initial guess, which is not always possible. Okay, so now I'll just show you the demo. Okay. So I'll just open the terminal. Okay, so this AFL, I'll just show you. This has been downloaded from here. You can go to and just Google AFL, okay, and you will get this. You will just click on code and then just copy this. Okay, so this was the link I was talking about, and then open the terminal, write bit clone, and then you will paste this link over here. I will not do it because I already have it installed on my system. So I'll just show how to work. Okay, so this is done. Okay, so I'll start with this. So we'll open this terminal inside the AFLs. Now, just open this commands. So initially, since these commands need the commands which I talked about for setting up core and for setting up CPU frequency, these have to be done on every machine refresh. Means whenever you restart a machine, you have to do this. So I'll just copy this. Yes, right. Okay, so this was the file I was talking about. So core is written, so it is fine. You don't have to do anything. Then you're going to do this, setting up the CPU frequency. So it echoed performance, so it means everything is good to go. Now you will just move out of this folder and then go back again inside AFL, and then now to start this is basically these two are the compiling and executing programs, executing commands. So I'll just go to this. So before doing that, you have to create a folder named as test case. Okay, and then the seed has to be given. So I'll give the seed as 10101, okay, which I had shown in the slide. Now, before going to, now you'll delete this. Okay, so these folders will not be there. I'll just delete all of them because the results folder will be generated. Okay. Now you will copy this command. See, this is the program test.instruct. So initially I have taken. Okay. So now, whichever program you are trying to do, it can be test.instruct or trial.1. You have to change the name at each time, and it should be present inside this AFL folder. Okay, and all when present only inside this AFL folder and not present inside any subdirectory. Otherwise, there will be some error possibly. Okay. Now I'll just execute and see it has compiled, and now I'll show this. So before doing this, okay, I'll just start. Okay. You see, the crash came in a very less second. Okay, in two seconds, the crash has come. Okay, so I'll just do Control C, and it will stop. Then next program. The next program is trial1.c. Okay, so before doing this, the two seeds I'll just, so again I'll go to test case. I'll change the seed. The first one was 2 and the second one was 95. So this was the thing I was saying, that if you have two variables, you have to give them at different lines. Okay, so 2 and then 95. Save the file, and then now you have to compile it. Now you have to change the program name. It should be trial 1. It has compiled. Now I'll just run it. So before executing this, we'll change the results folder. Okay. First I need to change the binary name also. It should be trial 1, and for results, this name of the folder you have to give. So we can take it as trial 1 because we will take 2 seeds for this trial 1 program. Okay, so now you can hit enter. And see, there's no crash. I think we can wait for, I'll not wait for 5 minutes, I can just wait for 1 minute. But you will see there will be no crash. Also, till the time this is happening, I'll show you what this was the previous result. Okay, so you can see the 3 folders which I was talking about. This is the Q folder. Each time a unique test case or a test case which discovers a new branch. Okay, so it comes inside this unique folder. Okay, and the hang is something like if that hangs the system, and then for crash, uh, the test case basically which is responsible for the crash is present over here. Okay, now I'll show you. Now move on. We'll see the initial seed which we took for the first program. It was 10101. Okay, but here you can see 1010. So it means that some trimming has taken place over here. Okay, so this was the trim part which I wanted to explain you. and then crash. So this basically this test case was responsible for the crash of the first program, which I just talked about. Then okay, we'll just go back to it. So you can see it 1 minute. It's so much time has passed, but it is not showing any crash. Okay, and these cycles denote that these many times the entire program body has been control flow has passed through it, the entire program body these many times. Okay, so I'll just do Control C and it will stop. Okay, now I will make the test case as 6 and 102. Let's close this. Close this also. Now we'll compile it again, because now no need to change the program because we have only changed the initial input or the seed. Okay, it has compiled successfully. Now we'll just run it. So before running it, you will just change the output of directory. It's 1 1 initially we had taken, so we'll make it 1 2. Okay. And then hit enter. See, within 2 seconds you got a crash. Okay, so this was what I was talking about. So I'll just do Control C to stop this. Yeah, so this was it. This was complete demo. And thank you so much for listening. If you have any